Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I've got another walk around for you. It's very interesting, but it's not this. This is a Farmall H. You all are very well familiar with these by now. But what I found is an HV. This is the high crop version of the Farmall H. You can tell right away it sits a lot higher. Look at all the clearance under that thing. High arched front axle, and this is the cast style. And it looks like it's still pretty well intact. It was quite common to see these break back in the day if they suffered any abuse at all. Some very bold casting numbers in there. And of course we've got some support rods that go back, pivot just behind the oil pan at the front of the bell housing, stabilizes it. Standard wide front design because these were meant to straddle crops, and lots of clearance under there. Has the belly pump, just like you would expect. This one has, I'm still trying to rationalize if this is a IH lift mechanism. Part of it looks like it could be. That's the correct cylinder. But I'm not familiar with this linkage back here, but it may be IH. Most of this just looks way too good and clean to be something that somebody created. Drawbar up very high, PTO up very high, everything. I mean, you get up in that seat, you're definitely looking out above everything else. And on the rear, they had special axle housings that came out of the rear diff, and then they've got these boxes that are chain case drop downs. There is a large sprocket up here, another large sprocket there, and a large roller chain bridges between them. So that's how they got the extra lift for the unit. We've got the fenders in place with the extension brackets, correct style seat, and I know the guy that owns this. He has not had it for very long. It's definitely rough and original, but it's all here. Pedals, brake pedals are actually rather sharp yet too. This looks like it is the distillate version because here's the filler cap for the small gasoline starting tank. And then you would put your lower grade tractor fuels in the main tank. So you'd start it on the gas, warm it up, switch it to kerosene, tractor fuel, whatever it may be. This lever right here goes forward to this pivot, and that linkage goes forward to the radiator shutters, which would block the radiator off to help you get the engine just hot enough to run better on those lower grade fuels. I don't know, is this a war era tractor? I think that's the steel Farmall emblem on there. Otherwise, sheet metal's all in really good shape. The grill is better than what's on my H. And it appears to be the distillate manifold because it has this extra heat shield around it. I think that's just to trap a little bit more heat in there to better atomize the fuel. Serial number FBHV 374690. Yeah, because this lift cylinder, that is an IH lift cylinder, attaches to the axle back there, pushes on this arm, and it goes down and it pivots through that keyhole slot that goes through the bottom of the belly pump. All this square channel, or this square bar that's been bent like that, it just screams IH factory to me. And then these stay rods come up. I'm not sure, that had to have been part of another attachment piece because we got some through holes that go through there, and it looks like it flares in, so you could have backed into something to line it in to pin it. All the old decaling still intact. The ball jar style pre-cleaner on the air cleaner. Have remnants of a be careful cautionary decal on top of the fuel tank. Of course, don't take it on side slopes. Don't turn corners too fast. Bad things could happen. Hallmark of the HVs is they mostly had these rear wheel centers dished in. That looks like a lock ring style rim. That's a new one for me. And then to help gain extra height in the front, in addition to this drop down cast axle, the front wheel centers, the hubs were larger as well. And they had heavier front wheel weights for an attachment that could go on these, of course, to get more weight further down to give it a little bit greater stability, but they were heavier than a standard H. Whereas the standard H front wheel weight was 45 pounds, the front weights for these HVs were something like 78 pounds each because they were just bigger. They were close to twice the mass. So, bolt style front wheel. Really nice looking stand-up HV. I'd like to have one. You don't see these very often around here. Thanks for watching, everybody.